On YouTube. There we go. Okay, choose account. Can I just log into my Zoom account and then just with the YouTube and see on Facebook and then just have it just instead of having to sign in every time? Just a virtual wholesaling 101. Go live. Yep. Yep. So I was asking a question today in another group about like how to pay drivers, so deal finders. Now I've got the deal finders right now at $500 a month. Yep. And wow, so it's playing that. All right, good. So we're streaming on there. And then let me get out of that. Okay. Now we need to, so we're on YouTube. Oh, I get a little thing up there. View stream. YouTube. Okay, so now we need to stream it too. So I can't stream to Facebook. It's kind of, I mean, if you're gonna make me pick, I'm gonna pick Facebook. Live to Facebook. I used to be able to do both. Am I still live? I don't know. So, what is going on? On my timeline or to a page? Let's do a page. If it'll let me, come on. I'm guessing everything's probably slow. Saturday is probably a big day for Zoom. Okay, share onto a page. I manage. You hear my kids talking too. Share to a page I manage. Next. All right, there we go. Share to a page. Okay. Wrong Facebook. See, this is why I get on early. All right. Okay. Switch account. I don't know if it's, they may have changed it from being able to stream to YouTube and Facebook on the same Zoom account. but we'll see. All right. Oh, hey, Christina. Okay. All right. So now we're.
Good afternoon.
All right. I don't know if that worked. Oh, it's just really slow. Okay. To a page I manage. Okay, so we want to Mike the Wholesaler as Mike the Wholesaler. Okay. So we're streaming it to that page. We might come in just in time to start at 12:30. Okay, so while I'm getting the streams going, man, that is slow. If you have any questions or anything you want me to cover, I'm going to be talking about direct mail marketing on a driving for deals budget. So everything mail marketing, everything to do with that. If you have any other questions, we can, not pertaining to mail marketing, I can answer those too. Okay. Okay, so I don't know if we are on Facebook yet. I'm going to stop it and do it again. Man, we're going to come, we might be late. But I've seen other people do this. They share it to Facebook, to the page, and then they share that page. I think it's better to share to the page so that people will like the page. It'll get more traction that way, and then I can share that, and then it will link back to the pages. So whether I share that to a group or wherever, it'll share that. So, yeah. There we go. Try live producer is no longer available. Okay, well, let's do the one that's available then. You just link me to that one in the first place, you know. It's just a thought. Welcome to live producer. Oh, okay. Oh, I get the new dark theme. Cool, cool, cool. Oh, love dark themes. Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So the question I brought up while that's doing whatever it's doing, one of the questions that I brought up was that how much to pay deal finders. So somebody told me 20 bucks a deal, 10 bucks a deal. The Deal Machine webinar that I was on suggested, and well, one of the guys there pays $10 an hour. But I'm thinking, like, if you're paid by the hour to find deals, you're just gonna not really care about how many deals you take. And if that is one deal an hour, I think that'd be pretty good. Uh, but then there's the thing that, well, I don't know how good deals I would take if I was getting paid 10 bucks an hour. I used to work at Walmart and I got 750 and I didn't really do a whole lot there or feel that the need to. I think at one point I was getting like 10 bucks after a couple raises. I was there for like 4.5 years. So then, well, right now what I'm doing is 500 bucks when we close, but I'm not getting a whole lot of deals coming in. So there's got to be something else where I need deal finders coming in and making accounts. So I've got maybe 200 to 300 deal finders that have texted in, but I have about 13 that have actually made accounts on the Deal Machine app that are linked with mine. And then maybe like 4 or 5 people that text me addresses. I'd like to get everybody in Deal Machine and get more Deal Machine finders and get more people out there looking. I don't know if this is loading up or what. I don't even know if y'all can hear me. Man. And in about 2 minutes, huh? Oh, it went away. Okay, what? Okay, live clipping, comment moderate, cool. I don't care, just stream it, dude. All right, I think we are on Facebook. I got to do one little thing and then we will get started. Somebody suggested that I pay per mileage, and then I can see in Deal Machine where they've gone, and then of course make sure that track the deals that way. That seems like a lot though. I was thinking, one guy made the comment, he said he pays his 10 bucks a deal and a verified deal that his team checks out, and then he pays 5 when they close. So that's really good. Okay. Because they get a little bit of money now, 10 bucks an hour. So if they take one deal per hour, that's really good. There's incentive that they could find maybe 5 deals in 1 hour and then take the rest of the day off. How much did I make at Walmart? That was 70 bucks. So it's full-time or part-time, doesn't matter to me, but if that is 750 times 8 hours a day, that's 60 bucks. So if they find 6 deals a day.
Doing what?
I don't know. I was here.
Okay.
But do you think I should just get a cheap one? Can we get it in the color I don't want?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting what you want if it's reasonably priced, because you have to pay for it. What's the point of getting something you don't really want?
Yeah. Well, I'm not getting a whole lot of like response from them. I'm not getting like, I'm maybe getting like 1 or 2 deals in a day, so there's no real like drive, See if I can just mute everybody. Started. Okay.
You're really dealing with computers. Cheap isn't usually the best way to go.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't get features. You
So
don't get
that's what I thought about $500
the cheaper. You're not going to get all those features that you want.
Well,
Okay. There we go. So if I share screen, I get a bunch more options. Okay. Let's see. How do I mute everybody? Why is this not like a thing that you can do anymore? Mute all. Okay, so
Your
participate.
butt off my foot.
Okay, everybody's muted. Okay. All right, and we're recording. We're 2 minutes late. Okay. All right, so I've got that. I'll put that to the side, and then I want to get a chat window. So there's no Q&A here. All we got is chat. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I will try to answer them as they come in, because it's easier for me when it's pertaining to what I'm talking about. And then if not, we will answer them at the end. This should take about an hour, but since we are dealing with direct mail and we're online, I do have the option of going in depth on click to mail. And I have recently found out that REI Simple has a link or a backdoor way into click to mail. So using REI Simple, which is a CRM for $97 a month, you can use them as your CRM. Texting, phone numbers is all in there. And then you can just import your leads, click a button, and have it send all that data to click to mail and have it send it out. So I don't want to get into my REI Simple and show you that because I've never done that before, but it's really cool to have that option. And then I'm going to show you some, of course, all the other different ways of doing it. Okay, so if you're having trouble hearing me, put it in the chat. If you can hear me, let me know. I always feel disingenuous asking people to put where you from, where you from in the chat. Okay. Present. There we go. Okay. So let me bring my chat back up. All right. So welcome to Wholesaling 101. Let me change something real quick. This is a carryover from last year. There we go. Virtual Wholesaling 101. Okay. So it used to be Wholesaling 101, but Stacy got the idea to call it Virtual Wholesaling 101 because that's what we're doing. I am high risk. I had a lung collapse when I was in school. So going out and doing it in person is not something I can do. Obviously, if you can, that would be the better way to go. So it's Saturday, June 6th. I'm Mike the Wholesaler, and we're going to be talking about direct mail marketing on a driving for deals budget. All right, so here's my contact. You can text me, call me, and email me, and we've got the website. So about me, I'm married to an amazing, beautiful, shy wife. I have 2 crazy kids. There they are. This is Noah, and that's Lincoln. He's probably Lincoln's probably the one you're going to hear. There they are again. And I collect Monopolies. I still need, I got a Mrs. Monopoly set, but I still need a Socialist Monopoly. I lost to somebody on eBay on the last one that I found. I'm the supergroup wholesaling group leader of the South Atlanta RIA. I have a participation trophy, probably the only one I've ever gotten. Yeah, signed by Stacy Rossetti. So look here. Out of all the other wholesaling group leaders, I have an award for it. And I got workshop speaker. I was on a panel with other people, other wholesalers for a panel last year because of my 10 years in real estate. I've got a 12-week wholesaling course, and I'm the best one. I don't know. It seems like she just wanted stuff to give me awards for. And then I was a main meeting speaker. And should probably get those framed. I won Teacher of the Year in 2018 with Angela Davenport. I'm doing it this year solo, I believe, in June or July. You can look for those in the South Atlanta RIA app. All right, and yeah, okay. So I'm starting a mastermind on Fridays. It is an idea I got from somebody else. So I joined a mastermind that was just a Zoom call every week, and it was somebody else's mastermind. So they had a whole bunch of people, I can't remember, but they had Max Maxwell on there, a whole bunch of other great minds in real estate, and you could ask questions, but you essentially just watched them mastermind with each other. And I thought that kind of seemed a little, rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, you know, they're cool and all, but I wanted to involve people in the mastermind. So just like this, I am taking my the call I do with my students on Fridays at 7. I'm now doing that accountability call. It's open to everybody now. So it's weekly recorded calls, Q&A, goal, and KPI tracking. So it's the same spreadsheet and scorecard that I give my students. They'll be on there. Obviously, they'll go first, and then I'll get to everybody else after that. But it is where I get you to set goals. I teach you how to set goals and how far off to set them, and then I hold you accountable the next week. So that's why there's a 14-day free trial. Is you come in 1 week, and it'll be next Friday, and then when you come in the week after, I will make sure and hold you accountable so that you keep up those numbers. And so these are things that I track in my business, and then I will help you track in yours, so you can get your first or next deal in real estate. And then, of course, I give you a bunch of bonus other stuff. And hope y'all avoided the riots. It is chaos out there. But you know, if I didn't have a pre-existing condition, I would probably be protesting. But I wanted to say, if about riots, that's sort of a good and a bad thing. So you know, they're ruining places, and that's good for us as investors, but it's bad for obvious reasons. But keep an eye on those areas. You know, if they're rioting in your community, as a real estate investor and as a wholesaler, you can really help out those places a lot by investing in real estate. Okay, so homework check from last month. It was to set up your CRM, integrate Craigslist into your CRM, analyze 3 deals a day, go to a foreclosure auction, which they're not having anymore because of the coronavirus. Continue to market to everybody. All right, so to the main topic, snail mail. All right, direct mail. Okay, so this is what one looks like. This is, yeah. This is what mine look like. I go for the non-glossy, looks like actual, you know, it's just cardstock. excuse me. These glossy money ones look disingenuous. I've never gotten a real good response from it. Blighted. So a paper mail piece to a seller's home to tell them that you are interested in buying that or another house of theirs. I suggest you go with another house. So a mail piece could be something that goes through the mail. It could be it is something delivered to their house or placed at their house. So one way that you can get around this is you can get flat rate shipping envelopes or boxes, and you can place them on the front steps. As long as you don't place them in a mailbox or in any sort of, or in the house through the little mail thing. If you're not actually doing mail, it's not a crime. So don't do that. That is against the law, and I'm not a lawyer. But you can place a big red, white, and blue envelope on the front porch and put your letter inside. Hey, I'm interested in this house or another house. And so that's one way that you can get around actually getting to the property. But don't think that a mail piece is just something that is something that goes to the mail. It could be a door hanger, anything like that. And then next, why direct and snail mail? So why would we do this? Okay. Is it still king? Is it dead? And how? So I get a lot of this. A lot of my, well, I'd say like half my students are not doing direct mail for now. They are focusing on other avenues of getting direct to the seller other than snail mail, because it is slow, but it is still the best way to do it. And a lot of people like to discourage other people from doing direct mail, snail mail, because that it is effective and they want other people to not do it. And so the less other people in the mailbox, the better. I have not gotten pretty much any mail myself on any of my houses. So I would say if you are putting in direct mail, you're probably going to be the only one in there, which is good. So when everybody goes online, you want to be on the avenue with not a whole lot of other people fighting over the deal. So if I call up a seller and they're like, yeah, I got another guy looking at it tomorrow, first thing I'm going to say is, all right, well, let me know how that goes, right? You know, you don't want to be fighting over other people, and you definitely don't want to be the thirsty one, okay? Don't fall into that trap. How many other investors are doing it? If it's dead, then you'll be the only one in the mailbox. If done consistently, the sellers will have piles of your mail. So I had a deal, and it wasn't that really good. I think it was modular built. It wasn't a mobile home, but I met the guy, and he wanted $10,000 a barrel, he said. And I said, what do you mean barrel? And what he meant is that when he passes away or his brothers and sisters pass away, that you'd have to put him in the ground. And so a barrel was a casket. And that wasn't a good deal at all. That was actually, you know, closer to the ARV for the property in the first place. So it didn't do it, walked away. You know, I was like, well, I can't do that. That's too much for me. But he had piles of my mail in his house. He passed away, and then his son contacted me because I had so much mail pieces at his house. And I was the only one that met him. I think he said he met with like 3 other people. And I did it anyway because I'd already been to the house. And I was the only one there that could have said, well, you know, I met your dad here at this house while he was alive. I met him there. So that was really powerful, helped me get that deal. So consistency. All right. How often should you mail out? Every 3 to 4 weeks. Right now in Deal Machine, I have Deal Machine mailing out every week because we're all at home. You know, so because of the that thing, I'm doing it a lot more regularly. I can do this all day. Do it a lot. Pull a new list every 5 mailings. Set a task to mail out every month, and take off duplicate names if a seller has more than one house. Okay, so this is a big one. So I recently started this individual seller marketing ISM, I guess you could call it. So one of my students had a problem that they couldn't afford the 3,000 mailings or the 1,000 mailings to send out. So what we would do is they would put in 5 a day, and they would mail out to them with his own postcard. So he'd do his own postcards, mail out to him 5 a day, and then he would put a task in Podio for 3 weeks from then to do it again. And so he would do that every day, 5 a day, 5 a day, 5 a day, 5 a day. And then 3 weeks went by, and on that third week, the next day, he mailed out 5 to the other people, and then he put in 5 more, mailed out to those 5. And so he did that and did that and did that, and ended up getting 3 deals off of that. So it was a lot easier for him to do that personally, and it was easier for him to track with a full-time job. So that is where that comes from. So, and then if you do one big list, if you're able to afford it, do that, and then mail out every 3 weeks. And then every 5 times you mail them, pull a new list, because some of those properties will become vacant that weren't on the list, and then some that were vacant and were on your list are now not vacant. Obviously, because of everything that's going on, we're not just doing vacant, we are doing absentee owners. So everybody now is a tired landlord. And make sure you don't mail 2 letters to the same person, because I get that, and I'm just like, you don't even know who you're mailing to. So people think that you mail them personally. Like, you sent me a letter, this is mine, they want my house, they specifically sent this to just me. They don't think that there's anybody else out there. But when you send them to, they pick up on it, and people don't like that. So 5 sellers a day. Yeah, so 5 sellers a day. This is where I would go into Podio, where I would go and find out 5 sellers. You can go on for sale by owner, and find people. You can even go into Deal Machine now and set it in the map now to tag or highlight houses that are absentee owner, that are vacant. They have some other criteria. You could do owner occupant, you could do corporate owned. You specify. I do absentee owner. And then as you're zooming around in the map, you can literally pinpoint, it lights them up in blue. Hey, this person is vacant, this person is whatever. And then you can have it put their first and last name down. So you know a little bit more about them. Or you could do the street name of the property. And so you could just see all of the houses and know what to go after. That's a really good one. And you can get in there for like $50. Another one is Zillow for rent, Trulia, any of those. Tax assessor site is a good one. So when you go down the street, you could put in the street, the road name, into the tax assessor site of the county that you're in, and it will tell you which ones have or have not paid their taxes. So that would be a good one. Also, if you get a list, you can just, of course, do 5 sellers a day off that list and just piece it out instead of going through the whole list. So 4 things to track on the mail piece. The list. Is that list motivated? Okay, so can they be more motivated? So are they motivated? Before this was vacant property. Now I would say absentee owner, because people aren't paying rent. Landlords are being strict because they're being their money's tight now too. You know, they need that money to pay the mortgage. If the tenant doesn't pay them, they can't pay the mortgage. And I think it's like 89% of landlords are barely making any money on their rentals. It was probably one that they lived in, but they moved out of into their actual home, whether they relocated for a job or military or whatever. They didn't actually just go out and get a new home for the profit. They were accidental landlords. So they're probably making like $200 to $300 a month. And so if any sort of issue comes up, that money is gone. And so we're all being really tight with our money because we're not getting a whole lot because of the quarantine. So are they motivated? Can they be any more motivated? And I don't know if that's a big question to be asked now, because since we're targeting all absentee owners, and since this whole thing happened, I've been retargeting all people I've previously given up on. So all those dead leads, I went back. If you've got dead leads, and of course your buyers too, you want to go back and ask these sellers, like, are you still interested in selling? I know you said you had it rented out. Are they still paying rent? And then go back to your buyers and say, hey, are you still buying? And then on that note, if you buy a buyer's list, make sure it is 2 weeks from back of March. What's that, 22 or 27? So make sure they have bought between the 23rd of March and now, because you want to make sure that that buyer has bought during the quarantine, because people that are previously buying are dropping off. I've lost maybe half my buyers probably to it. I don't sell lists anymore. If you're a coaching student, I just give them to you. So I had a student that had a list, and he wasn't doing really good on this list. And when I saw it, it was a list between Southeast Point and was it 285 in the perimeter? And then he had that zip code from there all the way to 30135. So there's 30135, and then it was 285, and then East Point. And so that whole area was like half his list was in that area, and that whole area is industrial. I mean, it was like gas stations and trucking. I mean, there were a couple of neighborhoods, but they are new neighborhoods, and they're gated communities, and they're all brick, 2-acre lots with ranches. I mean, and it's just a 4-lane road, and it was maybe 3 or 4 of these neighborhoods in there. It was a really bad list, and there wasn't a whole lot on it, and there wasn't a whole lot of people that were in East Point. It was maybe like a little tiny bit of East Point, and then it was vacant, and then it was Douglas 30135, and the whole list had maybe 300 people on it, and it was vacant. And so most of these were probably lots in that industrial area. So it wasn't a great list at all. So really think about the list that you're pulling, and a good way to do this is to go onto ListSource and look up buyers, cash buyers. You can do cash sales, contingent on cash, real estate. You can put in there that it was at least a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and that it was bought within the last 2 weeks in March to current. And then when you get that list of your zip codes or your county or your city on ListSource, you can then do a partial list. And before you pay for it, it will actually show you in there. And I think you have to go to pay for it, and it will take you to a screen to put in all the info. But before you actually put in your card info, you can hit a partial list. It will break down each zip code and how many sales or how many off of that list are in each zip code. Then you can see which one has 8 buyers in the last 2 months, 9 buyers, 10 buyers. And you cannot go and market to the ones that have 1 or 2 buyers in them. Some places I've found actually have 0 buyers. Nobody's buying in these areas with cash. So you can know which places to target specifically. Also, to get a list or to where to find or to target your list is to talk to these buyers. Hey, tell me about your last 3 deals. Were they in this zip code? Were they in this school district? What do you think about it? Do you only do 10 out of 10 school districts? If I see random people jogging, is that the kind of, like, with short shorts on and little dogs in the purses, is that the kind of neighborhood you want? I have some that want crap box neighborhoods, where they just have a beat up old I think a $500 beat up cop car that they have, and they drive that to go check up on and collect the rent in person. That's what they want. I've got a buyer that wants $900 rent a month in that area for the bedroom. And it doesn't matter if you could see through the house, as long as there is a frame and roof. The roof could be leaking, doesn't care. As long as when he gets done, he can rent it out for $900 a month. He wants it. Okay, so find that out and then target that list. So the actual piece. All right, so postcards. Postcards are good because you can just see what they're all about. You can see on here, my husband and I are interested, would like to buy your house. Boom, they already see it. They don't have to open it to know what we're all about. And it's bright orange because I like orange. Obviously, who doesn't like orange? You can pick your own color. You know, if you want to do this, pick purple. I think somebody took red, so don't take red. But yeah, you got your own stuff. Hey, can't pause it or mute it for a second, but yeah. So we're doing this live. They don't have to open it to see it, right? They can see your message. Now with letters, they have to open it. So sometimes you may have to put stuff in there, a couple extra pages of paper to make it thicker. I've done where they have the little plastic windows, and I've put in $1, and I've said on there, there's more of this, where this came from. There's flat rate shipping boxes, right? So you can get those. I think it's like $5 to ship them. For Valentine's Day, I shipped one. I put a letter in there, and then I put a heart-shaped chocolate. And on there I said, well, hey, I know you love the house, but are you in love with it? And so that's a good way to go, because they shake it. The bigger, the crazier that letter is, the more they're going to open it. And if you're thinking about doing that, the best way to look at it is to think, well, you know, if I get this deal, how much am I willing to pay for it? Are you willing to pay $5 for this deal? If you would pay $5 to get the deal, so say I've got a buyer that's willing to pay $50,000 for this house. So I know he's told me, hey, I've bought 3 2s in this area for $50,000 in the past, cash. So anything below $50,000, I know I've got it, right? So if I get this seller, if I can pay $5, get it at 40, sell it to this guy for 50, and make 10,000. So would you pay $5 to make 10,000, right? And then of course your time, which is invaluable. You can't put a price on that. So let me show you how to make a yellow letter. All right, I am unprepared, guys. I don't have a yellow pad. But I'll show you here. So what you do is you take your yellow pad and you take it with the lines that are right here. And so if the lines are going that way, wherever the perforated section is, you want to put that white copy paper and line it up with that perforated mark. And then you can see the lines through there, and you write on there, hey, this is Mike. Me and my wife, Lindsay, would like to buy your house at, or your other house, or you can just stop it right there and leave the next line blank. And then from there, you know, we pay cash, we close quick, we buy as is, and we pay all commissions. And we'll get to that in a second. And then you put your phone number, not your actual phone number, your tracking number, or a Google number, a virtual number. And then you sign it. And I didn't get my wife to do it, so it says, hey, you know, me and my husband on there, because her handwriting is better, obviously. And then you take that white paper that now has stuff on it with no lines, and you put that in the printer. And then you take the yellow pad paper and you rip it out in about 5 per chunk, or just rip it out of that book, and you put that in the printer upside down, and when it comes out, it will print that white paper info onto and it will be handwritten, and it won't be a font, and it will be onto that, and you can just print. So if you went with our other house, or we want to buy your other house, you're good. You don't have to do anything. But if you left that blank, you would then have somebody fill that in with the actual address that you want to buy. Now, aside from that, you want to fold those up, stick them in the envelope, and then all you need to do is write their mailing address on it. And you can get Avery stickers and print your address on it, and then get like a little picture on there too. That's okay that people do that. Do not do a stamp, because normal people don't have a stamp. And then the same goes for postcards, except you're going to do it 4 times on a paper. And then the other thing is you've got to do the back. So you then put the return address on there, and then you leave this part blank, because this is where you're going to write their address. And then, of course, you just take it to any copy place, and you just cut it in fourths, and you're good. It's the only difference. And make sure it's cardstock. And then, of course, yellow. Everybody does yellow. Green is a new color that Click to Mail has done. And I think they added pink. So anything other than that is going to stick out. So that's why I like orange. But you can pick blue or any other kind of color. And then, yeah. And then make sure it's black ink, because if it's any other kind of crazy big color, they're going to sort of see that it's faded, because you are also going to come in, or if you do that, make sure that the ink that you use here is different from this ink. That way they can't compare the two and see, oh, this is copied or faded, and then this ink is fresh. So I would use red ink or green or something that's going to stick out against that color. All right, so the copy, what are you going to say on there? So you put, you pay cash, close quick, you pay all the fees, all the commissions, and you buy as is. Those 4 things everybody wants to hear. Believe it or not, some sellers do not know that you're going to pay cash when you present your offer, or you say, hey, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to pay cash. I always iterate, like, and we buy as is, and I have to even go the extra mile and say, well, you don't need to sweep up the front porch. You don't need to do any of that. We buy it as it is. So anything you want to leave in there, leave it in there. And she was like telling other people, oh, Mike said we could just leave stuff in there. It was great. It should sound like you are just like them. So put y'alls in there. That's why we put my husband Mike and I would like to buy your house, and not like a super big company. So I don't know if you look at who you follow on social media, but a lot of those people or a lot of those accounts that you follow are people. Look at how many of those things that you follow are companies. People are less likely to follow a company with a logo they can't connect with, but they can connect with a person. So sound like just a guy down the street or a girl. And don't sound thirsty, okay? Because if they pick up that you're thirsty, you're not going to get that deal. Okay, so the response. Okay, so you can do a website. You can do a bit link. I would say a website is probably better, where you can send them to like sellhousestous.com. Email is okay, but you got to check email. And then phone numbers are probably really good, because people can call or text them. And then any combination of those, I've seen a lot of. I split tested phone number and website, phone number, and then just website. And the one that did the best was just the phone number. So that's why on here you will see the response is just a phone number. That's it. They can call or text. You can even put on there call or text. This is an old sheet, which is why it didn't get cut up, mailed out. And just a phone number. So If you are unable to pick up the phone, you can get a call center. I use cbsiholdings.com. Click to mail. You can upload your list, send it out there, and within, I think, 3 days, they will print it all and mail it for you, and that includes the postage. The good thing about these letters is that, oh no, that's a forever stamp, but they do have 36-cent stamps. So the price for the paper and the letter and the stamp of a traditional envelope will cost about $1. And then I add, or $1.25. And then I add 25 cents per letter that somebody, if I were to pay somebody to, stick and stamp those for me, since the price of this, once divided by 4 from that individual, so the pack of paper, the ink, the pens, the printer paper, the printer ink, all that included comes down to a penny, less than a penny per actual postcard. So price-wise, this is the best way to go. And then the stamp is 36 cents. So if it is within or smaller than a certain size, and you can check with the post office on this, you go to an actual USPS post office, and they will sell you a postcard stamp for 36 cents, meaning that this cost me less than 37 cents or 36.8 cents. Click to mail will send all that for you. I think it's 47 cents a mailer on there, and it's very hard to use. You can have virtual assistants go on click to mail for you. So click to mail. I can go on click to mail and show y'all how to do that. And then we've got homework. So your homework is to try to talk to 5 sellers a day and mail to however many you don't get to talk to, and set a task to repeat for every 30 days. So if you talk to 3 sellers that are like, hey, I want to sell my house, find 2 to complete the 5 and mail to them, and then complete that every 30 days. So your homework is to send mail as well, obviously, and to try out all of these things. So if you could have a lady, a student of mine in Milwaukee, has her daughter do the mailing for her. So you can always find somebody else. And when my kids are old enough, I am going to get them to write with orange crayons on construction paper that my daddy wants to buy your house. And I'm going to milk that free labor so hard. I mean, that is going to God, yeah. And I'm thinking, like, do I even need to wait for them to do it? Maybe I can just write that myself. But yeah, so, and always be thinking about new ways to get in there. If you need one-on-one coaching without having to split your profits with your mentor, you can apply at thewealthuniversity.com and hit the button Get Coaching. And that's it. Okay. So there we go. Okay. So I can, oh, now it gives me the option. My kids are screaming and crying. Mute button doesn't show up. Okay, I will let us, oh, I know what. There we go. Okay, so I'm still screen sharing, but I've got my chat. Okay, so we will open it up to Q&A. And so does anybody need any help? I mean, I know this was all about direct mail and snail mail marketing, but I mean, y'all can ask other questions if you want to about anything, whatever you're struggling with right now in your business. Maybe I can help you get to that next step. And wait, if you raise your hand, I can even unmute you and let you talk. Was there somebody that raised their hand? Okay. Hmm. Let's see. Oh, it's like a little notification. Okay. Uh,
Hi, do you hear me?
yeah. Joanna?
Yes,
All right, cool.
that's correct. Cool. Nice to meet you, Mike.
You too, yeah. So do you have a question?
Yeah. Will you so do you mostly do your printing at home, you said? Did I get that right?
What do you mean?
For the postcards. What is your most usable method? Which method do you use the most?
I would say, well, actually, it's a deal machine. So I use deal machine, and the way that I do it is I pull a list, I skip trace the list for phone numbers, and then I put those phone numbers and the deals, and I import them into my CRM, which is REI Simple. And then the ones without phone numbers, I put those into deal machine. I import that whole list in there, and then I
Mm-hmm.
have deal machine mail out to them. And let me show you what that looks like.
Okay,
Let me
perfect.
open
Thanks.
it up in another window. See, I don't steal my deals. Okay. But I have a couple templates in there, and they just uploaded some new ones that I'm using now uh, that are specially made for COVID-19. So here we go. Yeah. So there. You see these?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the default one, standard seller, I had no pick. They added COVID and like right here. And so I sort of changed it a little bit, but it had this preloaded in there, and they called it COVID one, I think it was. But look, it says want to sell during the pandemic. We're still buying, and we can buy virtually, and we can take over payments. And uh, where does it say it? Maybe it's right here. We can get a price and agreement in place over the phone and schedule the closing ASAP. Call or text now. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say this is my best mailer. So,
How many do you mail per month?
I think it's like 300.
How much
Or
responses are
300.
just
I'd say 900 because I'm doing it every week now. So every 7 days, it sends out another letter, and it tracks this per person. So it sends this right here to anybody. So when I have a deal finder and they take a picture of the house, it has a picture there. But a lot of the time, they're unable to take a picture, or they don't, or there's no Google Street View to get the picture. So I just send a one without a picture. But this one is the top seller right there, and I want to say it's like 900, and it's 80 cents a postcard.
mm-hmm.
But this would be the one. So somebody asked me one time if I had to start all over, what would I do, or what were my top programs that I would have, and it
That's
was
a good
RES
question.
and it was PropStream, REI Simple, and Deal Machine. But the first one I would get would be Deal Machine, because you can drive for deals, and then the fact that they mail out the postcard without me ever having to think about it. I can just click every 7 days. You can even set like repeat forever, or repeat 10 times, or repeat till this date. And so you can set in all of that, and it's 90 cents a postcard, and it's $50 a month. And then if you upgrade to what I have, the $200 a month plan, that one is 80 cents on postcards, so you get sort of a discount.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't beat that. Like, so right now people are getting my postcards, and I don't even have to think about it. And
And
then the number on it goes to RES Simple.
And what is the response you get from all that? Let's say if you mail 900 per month, how much deals do you get out of that?
Per month I get 1.2 deals. So that is like really, really good. And I want to say usually it's you send out 1,000 mailers, and then you get one deal out of that, and then you get maybe a 10% response rate. So you get 10 to 20 calls in. Some people on the fence, some people just call in to see what the postcard is, some people call in to, hey, take me off the list, some people mad that you're mailing them, and then one of those is a deal. But I think it's better because, like, you got to think, like, this picture that's on the card is like the actual picture of the house. So when a deal finder goes out, they snap a pic of the house. It's the actual house, however it is. So if it's boarded up, it really hits them hard, because they may not see that it's been boarded up, or they may see that, the windows are busted in, or the roof is falling apart. A lot of the time in their mind, they're thinking, oh, the tenant told me it was great. But when they get a picture of the actual house, and one of them does selfies, and so he'll be sitting there, with his phone, and he'll be in the picture with it, so that I think he does that so that I'll know that he's the one that found the deal. But yeah, but I don't do that myself on any that I do, because I can put my picture right there. Yeah, I mean, I've completely moved away from everything. This is my sole direct mail marketing platform. Is I just let Deal Machine do it for me.
And do you do cold calling at all, or no?
Yeah. So the way that we pull lists is we pull the list, we put all the ones with phone numbers into RES Simple, and then we mail out to the rest. And so the idea is that you cold call, and then you text them. So you call the person. If they pick up, good, you talk to them. If they don't, you send them a text. And then you put them into follow-up, where you market to them again in 7 days. You call them back. And then any that don't respond to the text, you get to them, as if it's a landline, you get to them by cold calling them.
Do you do all this by yourself, or do you have people working for you for the cold calling?
Recently I reached out to get cold callers. So I have about 12 cold callers now. They log into RES Simple, and then they make the calls, and then we split the profit 50-50. And it's all in that system, and I can see how they're making calls, who they're calling. I can track all the campaigns. So it's not me. One way around this is to get a call center. And so you can give an email, and they'll email you the information. So like you can have the call center like cbsiholdings.com. You can tell them, hey, I want to know the address, why they decided to sell, when they need to sell, how quickly do they need to sell, all that information. They'll email it to you. I can give them the email to a campaign in RES Simple. And so when they email it, that lead will get put into the CRM. And so I can have leads. So while you're working, while you're doing stuff, the mail goes out. When people call, they then go right into your lead source while you're working. Another one is On Brand 24. So I'll put that in the chat. 24.com. And they are a cold calling site. So they can call people you've reached out to before, like a win back program, and then they can also cold call to people for you. So you would give them a list of people to call after you've skip traced it, and then you would tell them what to say. Hey, it's real estate. I'm interested in buying the house. I just want to get them on the phone, and then you could then do the callbacks. So on the out of 1,000 people, there would be probably like maybe 10 people who really want to sell their house, and then you would call them back and hopefully get a deal out of one of those people.
Mm-hmm. How much would you say your monthly expense is for generating leads?
Okay, so Deal Machine is 200, and then I'm doing 900. So the CRM is 300 a month. The cold call is probably another 100, and then so that's 600. 80 cents a postcard, and I'm doing 900 postcards a month. And then I've got PropStream. So I have PropStream to place the list into, and then PropStream, you can either upload a list or you can get the list from PropStream, and they will tell you which ones have sold, which ones redeemed on their taxes, which ones have gone into foreclosure or been stopped in foreclosure. So you know what not to market to anymore.
Mm-hmm.
97, okay. So 2017 a month. So that, give or take a couple hundred on there from other programs that I've got, social media, that kind of thing, ads. But yeah, I would say most of it comes from, I would say a percentage comes from the best deals come from direct mail when they call back. And then the majority of the stuff comes from the cold calling. So the cold calling gets a lot more people, and then you sift through that, because when you cold call, you get the people who are motivated, but you get the people who are sort of on the fence, and you're able to convince them, to hop down on your side of the fence. And then the direct mail gets less people, but more motivated people. And give me a second. Hey, can you close the door? Okay. All right. So the same goes for postcards. So postcards get more sellers calling you, and some are on the fence, some are not. And then letters get people, but they're more, most of them are willing to sell, because they've opened it, they've seen, hey, you want to pay cash, and they want to do it. Postcard people are like, you'll get a lot of, hey, well, I got your postcard. And it's like, well, why is that really the only reason you're calling me? Yeah, I just want to see how much you would pay for it. Or I hate that.
What is the average amount for a deal you make?
So I shoot for 10,000, and so it is 10,000 profit. The seller doesn't know how much you're making, but let's say, for example, I get a deal at 40,000, and I'm selling it at 50,000. That seller might not know, that I'm looking to make 10,000, but they may say, well, hey, I can't do 40, but I could do 42. So you say, okay, good. Then when you go to sell it, that buyer is going to want to negotiate every time. And so they'll come down, you'll say, well, all right, well, we can, come down to 48, and you're still making 6,000. So you shoot for that 10 so that you have the ability to come down on either the seller side, or will come up on the seller side, but then come down on the buyer side, because the buyer is going to negotiate every time. And I mean, if you really want to go further into it, you could go for 12 or 20, and just see. because you may be offering, like in the past, I was doing, like 5, 10 years ago, I was doing, well, I got started 10 years ago. So 5 to 8 years ago, I was getting like 2,000. That was what I was shooting for, is 2,000 a deal. But then when I would get, to the seller, I would be like, well, hey, can we do this price? They'd say, yeah. And so I'd have two, and then I'd go to the buyer, and the buyer would want to negotiate. I'd be like, well, I can't negotiate. And I found out that they just wanted to negotiate just to negotiate. So if I wanted two as my end goal, I would then have to get four and then come back. I forget what it was, but it was something about how much is your time worth. I saw a video of something somewhere about that. And, so I put 10,000 into there, and the seller said, yeah. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And then when I went to the buyer, I was able to come down 3,000 on it, and I made 7. I was like, wow, that was real easy. And of course, the numbers are always tight. When you're talking to the buyer, they're always tight. Oh, I don't know if we can do that. Well, all right, we'll just make it up in the long run. We'll sell you more deals. And then, of course, they get to closing and find out you're still making, 7,000.
So between PropStream and driving for dollars, which is the better one for you as a result of making a deal or coming out with a deal?
So I would go with PropStream because I can pull a list in a second. So I put a video up on the YouTube channel about it. And so with PropStream, I can pull a list in seconds, and then I can upload that list to Deal Machine and have it start mailing to people. Or I can upload it into REI Simple after I've skip traced it and start calling them. Driving for deals, like, it is obviously going to take a lot longer. The opportunity you get with driving for deals is that, before all this happened, you could get out the car, go knock on the door, and then knock on the neighbors' doors and ask them, hey, whose house is this over here? Would they want to sell? But with everything going on and people wearing masks and having social distance, that's probably, well, it's not a good idea for me. But if you're doing that, there's still a stigma now attached to coming out, coming to the door. I haven't tried it, so I don't know. But that was where I got the really good deals from driving for deals, is because, like, they would turn them in. Nobody wants their neighbor with grass growing up high and boarded up windows and, stinky, backyard. Nobody wants that. So they turn them in. They'll even give you like phone numbers half the time. But now I would say you can pull that same list of the vacant or absentee owner list off of PropStream. So I would definitely go with PropStream. Now, I believe, so I don't know if I said this earlier, but we are a super group, not sub, we're super, of the South Atlanta RIA. And if you need to join the RIA, let me know. I'll put the link in here. And then
I actually, that's where I actually just joined the RIA group, and that's how I actually got to this seminar.
I believe they have a PropStream discount. So if it's so if you go to the site, you log in on the RIA, I think it's vendor benefit or member benefits, and you can go scroll through those, and you get like benefits at a Home Depot, a whole bunch of places, Privy. What is it? HTTP. What is that? HTTP semicolon / Gotta have that // Okay. Yeah, so you can join the RIA. I think I get like, it's $25. I think I get like 5 of those bucks after like 2 months. But it helps, I guess, right? And then I wanted to show you this. This is really cool. So this code right here, if you go to Deal Machine and you get an account, you use this code, and I think we get $5 too. Yeah. So I got $5.94 because somebody signed up. That's a lot of incentive. Does anybody else have any questions? I mean, I'm cool with answering more of your questions, but if anybody else has, raise your hand or put them in the chat, and I'll get to you after.
Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is Mark Karuska. How you doing?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Good. I got a quick question going back to your mailing. When it comes to pre-foreclosure mailing, are you able to still use the Deal Machine? Because the essence is of getting those postcards out quickly. The timing, from what you know, have you tested it by using your own mailing address for yourself, getting a postcard to you as a test sample to know how fast they're mailing them out?
Yeah, so it takes about 3 days to get me, because that was the first thing I did is I took a picture of my house and sent it to me, and it took 3 days, which is quick enough for pre-foreclosure. I have not thought about that. See, well, the reason I haven't done that is because it wasn't until last month where they updated it to where you could upload a list to Deal Machine. And then they added a feature in there called Street Pick where it would upload the Google Street Pick view. And some houses don't have that, which is fine. But a lot of the time, if they live in the house, I don't want to send them, because that's sort of creepy. If you get a postcard and it's some guy in your front yard taking a picture and you're like, that's my house, I live here, it's kind of weird. So if I did, I would send the no pic, the postcard with no pic of the house, but maybe a picture of me. Or I would send one with a picture of the house, but instead of taking a picture of their house in there, I would just take a picture of me in the phone app and upload that. And that way they would see me, and then they would see, the same stuff. We're just interested in buying your house. Close quick, pay cash. We can do it over the phone, all that same COVID jargon, and put all that in there.
Got it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I was just purely looking at it from just getting a list, uploading it, sending it. Because in the past, everybody would talk about using mailing houses, but they weren't quick enough. And USPS was really slow, take over a week. Because it's coming from different locations like Illinois or somewhere, Chicago. And I was like, why am I sending something that's going to be mailed from Chicago? It doesn't look good. So
that was a big problem. But
I don't know if they've repaired that problem where if you send it locally, it gets sent locally, but I don't know where the mail house now is for USPS. I don't know if it's
yeah. See, I can do these myself. Like I could have these and this done, and I could cut them and then stamp them ahead of time, and then my wife can just write them out. Like, so we usually get the list on a Friday, and it's 4 weeks before the sale. But the thing is on the last 2 sales, there's only 20 properties. So 4 weeks
because they may have filed a bankruptcy or they stopped it with paying a payment or something to that effect.
No, that's the rule. So the first Tuesday in July is the 2nd. So 4 weeks back from the 2nd.
Oh, I thought you meant that the amount of foreclosures had dropped.
Well, yeah, it's only 20. So I would say I would just keep doing them like this, because if it's only 20, I can handle that. And I'd much rather know that, well, I could put myself in the group and then I could put them in there. The other thing is that Deal Machine is going to mail to them. Well, you can set them individually, but Deal Machine is going to want to mail to them a couple times. And usually with a sale, if there's a sale, you only have like 2 weeks to get to them. And then you have 2 weeks to actually like get the deal. And if you don't, that third week is really the last chance you have to get that property, because that last week it's really hard to stop the foreclosure and get in there and do anything.
Right.
So mailing them multiple times would be pointless to a pre-foreclosure. So I think I would just keep doing this. And at 23 leads every month now, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It usually is like, back in the heyday, it was probably like February or January, it was maybe 120, 140, and that was doable.
So you're just using the cut stock and something just generic saying I buy houses.
Yeah, so my foreclosure mentor told me to do this, and I put on there stop foreclosure, and I put my own stuff on there, and it didn't work. And it wasn't until I said, I had my wife write, my husband and I would like to buy your house, and I just put that on there. I don't put we pay cash, close quick, and then my phone number, and then that's literally it.
And the mentality is that most people get peed off from, they don't like that somebody knows, and then by having a postcard lets the mailman know, so they don't like it. They get more upset about it.
Yeah, I got cussed out the first time. I learned that pretty quick. And a lot of them call in, and I had one lady be like, well, we took it out the system. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I didn't pick up that she meant like it wasn't in the foreclosure system or something. And she was like, you can't see in the system that it wasn't in the foreclosure. And I was like,
Right.
oh, like I was telling her I've got them in a spreadsheet. Like, what? Like, I'll take you off the list, or I won't call you anymore. That's fine. But I play dumb though.
Yeah. The other thing that you got to be careful is that you get the mailing address and not the situs address, because if you mail to the property address and they've got renters in there, and then you tell them something to the effect about foreclosure, that's why you don't want to use foreclosure in the postcard message. You just want to say, I buy houses, or, we'd like to buy a house, or something like that.
Yeah.
Because if you get it to the property address, you alert the tenant goes back to the landlord, gets all upset, and then the landlord starts calling you, and you're really in trouble.
The list that I get separates it into mailing address and then the property address. And I go the extra step. I add an exact column to the right of the list, and I call it exact address or same address. And then it's equals exact. And when you type in the word exact, even in Google Sheets, it will, and then comma, parentheses. And in there, you put in the comma and then the two columns. And the first column is the number or the street address from the property address. And then the second comma is the owner mailing address. And even if you just have the numbers of the street numbers on there, it'll pick it up. And then you copy that formula into all the cells, and it won't copy the same two cells that you did. It'll actually copy it for each line.
You're
And so it'll tell you which
talking
one.
about for mail merging?
Yeah, it'll have different addresses. So it'll say false, or it'll say true on most of them. And then usually about 5 or 6 will have false. They'll have different mailing addresses. And when I skip trace them, I copy that sheet and delete the property address. So I just have the names, and then I have the mailing address, and I skip trace that. And then when I get phone numbers back, that's the one that I upload to, or I send to my wife, and she writes down the addresses. So she never even sees the property address, because if I give her both, she'll just, she just goes and writes, because it's so, we get them Friday, we have to send them out Saturday. Saturday, you also start cold calling them, and then Monday, you continue the cold calling.
Now, do you use PropStream to get that data?
No, I get it
Or
from
the pre-foreclosure list already have it?
The pre-foreclosure list has it, and they have the mortgage number or the attorney number, the attorney, the mortgage info. It's all on there, and it's from an attorney who handles the list. I don't know where he gets it from, but me and the mastermind with the 2 other guys, we then just pay $33 a month and we split that list.
Right. Yeah, the other thing is if you do have lists and you don't have that info, the program that I had written to have a developer make the, to search on the criteria of the property, I can pull in anybody's list, pre-foreclosure or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And it gets the property info as well as the estimated values and the mailing address.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the one I developed when I had to do, when I was developing the bankruptcy list for, you know, for people who work off leads. So the bankruptcy list is a pre-foreclosure as well. It's the same animal. It's the same criteria.
One of the things I look for is like, so when you get that pre-foreclosure list, I mail out to them, I cold call them, and then on Sunday, I pick about 10 of those that are really good. And then I go drive them and I look at them, you know, I make sure that they're okay on the outside. And then I would, you know, knock on the neighbors' doors. I haven't done that since everything happened. But going to the property and looking at it, if it is vacant or if it isn't, leaving like a, you know, some tape and a letter to the mailbox is something that I've started doing since then. But I'll find like 10 that I really like and I'll drive them to see what the area is like. And then part of the criteria for that is origination date. So the origination date of the mortgage is when it was originally, like when the house was bought. So it's not a modified origination date. Like if they've refinanced, that's
Right.
not going to be in there. So this is like, and I target houses that originated in 06 and 07. And so those are prime for short sale. And then everything else on there is, you know, good for either short sale or subject to. But I go for the short sale because usually they're vacant and they have a affidavit that you have to sign where there's no side agreement between you and the seller. And so it's sort of your way out. You can tell the seller, well, hey, I can't pay you directly or anything. And if they live in the property, then the bank will pay them up to $3,000. And so they don't want you having any side agreement with the seller. And so you could say, well, hey, you know, no side agreement, sorry. They'll pay you $3,000 to move out, and then you just get the house at the price you want. And if they are unwilling to come down, then they, or the realtor that you have negotiating that whole process, then can list that property, and then they get the money.
Right. Cool. I'm gonna step aside so if anybody else wants to jump in. So thanks.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else? All right. So go in the chat and let me know who's going to start direct mail marketing. And if you're not direct mail marketing, what are you doing? And you know, let me know. Oh, so I'm starting this mastermind. Let me put that in here. So that's the mastermind, and then yeah, and so join the RIA, and then support your local business. That's a. So I don't know if y'all are going out or I'm ordering food and takeout and stuff from places around here like the Olive Branch, places that I want to see like survive. And then a student of mine that I don't think is on the call here, but what she is a flooring contractor. So she puts in flooring. And one guy I talked to was a roofer. And so he would go put in roofs for people. And while he was doing it, you know, he would look for properties, and I had a pool guy. So he would clean a pool, and while he was letting the chemicals mix around, he would then put that road street name into the tax assessor site and see who had paid or who hadn't paid the taxes. And then so her new plan now is, while she's at these houses, before she messes with the floor and it looks crappy, she will take a video. Hey, I buy houses just like this one, or just use that as the backdrop. Like you're on top of a roof, and it's, you've just ripped off all the shingles, and you're taking a break, and you could maybe take like a selfie video for Instagram and say, hey, this is Mark. I buy houses. This is Arthur. Well, Arthur could be in the back of his truck with a pile of packages, and he could say, do you get a bunch of mailers asking you to buy your house? Are you sick and tired of it? Well, call me, and you won't have to deal with that anymore because you'll sell it to me. Just use those backdrops of those houses. Like if you go to look at a really ugly house with mold everywhere, take a picture of it with or without you in there, and you can then use that on social media and say, like, does your house look like this? Or if you know any houses that look like this, let me know. When I got a rental or a Airbnb in Decatur, I took a picture of that before everything went down, and I took a video. When they sold it to us and they moved out, before we started rehabbing, I went in there and was like, hey, my house is just like this. Someone had a mortgage on it. We can take over the mortgage. We can take over payments. We talked with the bank. We did it all for a nice old lady that sold us this house, and it was furnished and had old furniture, and picture frames were still up, but without pictures in them. And, so I was like, well, look at this. This probably looks like your house. It's got some chairs and a table over here, and it had like knickknacks up everywhere. A lot of people don't think like they can sell their house with all that stuff in it. But I just reminded people, hey, you can still do this kind of thing. And then if you're part of the South Atlanta RIA, that is a really good RIA to be a part of. We just had the main meeting, and this year it's all about women. So I've been trying to get my wife to listen in. So she sits over here at her desk, and she's not in here right now. She's supposed to be out there keeping the boys quiet, but she sits over there, and so I keep eavesdropping on her. I'm like, I turn the volume up. It's some lady comes on. I think they were talking about tax deeds or tax. Georgia is a tax dual state, so they do tax liens it's a hybrid. So it's a tax deed, but it takes a whole year to redeem, sort of like a tax certificate. But it's all women main speakers. So I thought that was really cool, and so I'm trying to get her into real estate. And so getting a spouse that will help you is really important. And she helps write all this stuff. So all this is her, because my handwriting is crap. And I think if you have any other questions, my name or my number in here, it'll let me, I can't copy it, but if you can I change my name? Let me see. If you can, my name is my phone number. So I will see if I can copy that into the chat. If you got any questions or anything at all, just let me know. Give me a call or text. And all these events are in the South Atlanta RIA app, which will remind you to show up to them. So if I could give you some last minute stuff before I go, don't forget to try to talk to 5 sellers a day. And one of the reasons why I'm starting that mastermind is that the hardest thing you will ever do is not having a boss over you. So whether you're gonna quit your job or you have already quit or you don't have a job, it's hard to be your own boss. And that's one of the things that that accountability is going to give you. There would be times where I'd be coming home from work, where I'd be working overnight, and I'd come home in the morning, and I'd be driving home, and I would drive under the speed limit, and I would have no music on. I would never think to put the music on. And so it was just silence, and it would be autopilot. So I would come to, and I would just be in the driveway, and I would just be like, oh, such a drag. But, there was nobody over me. So when I was at Walmart, like, I'd see them outside, I'd be, pushing carts. I'd be like, okay, let me get off my phone. There's nobody there at home, or your office making you do that. So that's the hard part. And that's what I wanted to give people, not just watching other people in their mastermind, but actually participating and getting somewhere. And at the very least, you can always just sign up and then 14 days later quit. But please don't quit. And if you don't like me as your mentor, please get somebody else. Get somebody to be your mentor, whether it's Stacy or any of the other supergroup leaders. Get somebody to help you. Quit your job, get out of the rat race, get into real estate, and hopefully maybe we can partner up on some deals in the future. But if there's nothing else, I'm Mike the Wholesaler, and I'll see y'all on the next one.